So in recent weeks we've been talking about tales from the early years of the NHL draft from the mid-60s to the late 60s. Now this guy, even though he didn't put up big numbers for his junior team, Niagara Falls Flyers, he eventually became a solid NHL skater on the forward lines, mostly right wing and center. Now, Steve Atkinson, taken in round 1, 6 overall in the 1966 NHL entry draft, again by the Bruins, put up okay numbers in his last season in Niagara Falls, 15 points in 39 games. Now, in 65, he missed him. He won the Memorial Cup in Niagara, but unfortunately, in the 66 season, he missed most of it due to an appendectomy. But the people were so high on Steve, especially Boston, they could not take him. A good two-way player, a good defensive player when needed, could score on occasion when a counter was part of, let's say, a Boston established comeback or to protect the lead. Now, born in Barrie, Ontario, October 16th, 1948. He had his NHL debut on March 27th, 1969 against New York late in the season. Now, he also had an okay minor league career. He played on the Oklahoma City team that won the CHL regular season title in 68-69. He was a rookie year with Oklahoma City in 1969 and was named again to the CHL All-Star First Team at Oklahoma City in that campaign. Now, he was an original Buffalo Sabre again in 1971 season, although he did not arrive until November 1970. He was also an original Washington Capital in 1974-75. Now, he has a lot of NHL history on his resume. We'll go over a little bit of this. He became the first player in Washington Capitals history to score on a penalty shot when he bet Ken Lockett on February 1st, 75 against Vancouver. Now, he eventually came back to Buffalo as captain of the Buffalo Norsemen of the NAHL in 76. Now, he eventually went back to senior hockey in Canada and won an Allen Cup with the great Brantford Alexanders in 1977. So, when Atkinson was eventually drafted, they call him Atch and the Snail. Now, he can be fairly be referred to as the first player taken with the first ever traded NHL draft pick. Now, during the 66 season, the Boston Bruins were looking forward to drafting both Barry Gibbs and Atkinson, the top players on their affiliate junior teams in Estevan, Saskatchewan and Niagara Falls, Ontario. However, Boston could only select one player. To avoid losing one, the Bruins made a February 16 deal calling on Detroit to waive its first pick to Boston at the 66 amateur draft to complete the earlier trade in which Boston sent Leo Boivin, Dean Prentice to Detroit, for Gary Doak, Ron Murphy, Bill Lasuk, and future considerations. Now, he was also selected by the Dayton Arrows in the 72 WHA draft, and of course Dayton turned into Houston. Now, he eventually played the WHA for the hometown Toronto Toros in 75-76, and the transaction history of him was quite interesting. Again, his playing rights were sold to Hershey of Buffalo on June 1970. So basically, he was sold from the NHL to the AHL. He was eventually claimed by St. Louis in the interleague draft on June 9th, 1970, but then reclaimed by Buffalo on waivers from St. Louis on November 1st, 1970. Now, he was also claimed by Washington in the expansion draft in 74, which was the team's 8th pick, and then eventually signed with Buffalo, the NHL, as an unrestricted free agent. And in January 76, about 4 months later, the WHA rights were sold by Houston to Toronto. So a very, very interesting career in hockey. Unfortunately, bad news was on the doorstep when he passed away at the age of 54 at his home in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Quite a shock to all his friends and family, and he was eventually, of course, inducted into the Barrie Sports Hall of Fame posthumously in 2007. Now, Atkinson can be best described as one of the most important early players with the the Washington Capitals and the Buffalo Sabres, because they had a few players like Atkinson could play anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Now, he did play one game with Boston, of course, in '69, and he was with the Blazers for 2 seasons. Now, the seasons with the Blazers were just tremendous. 80 points in 65 games in '69, and 52 points in 63 games in 1970. First season with Buffalo, scored a big 20 goals in 57 games. Second season, 14 goals, and then became a defensive specialist. Now, with the Capitals, he scored 11 big goals in 46 games, one of their best offensive players in a year that they really, really struggled. Now, with the Buffalo Norsemen, 61 points in 1976, and again, that time with the Toros. 8 points in 52 games. Now, this is kind of weird, ladies and gentlemen. Just bear with me for a second. He played minor pro with the NAHL Zero Blades in '77, but again, had enough time to play for Brantford of the OHA Senior League, 22 points in 11 games. But '78, this is the big season with Brantford, 43 points in 33 games, and '79 moved on to the Welland Steelers of the OHA Senior League. Now, a star in the CHL, a star in the NAHL, star in the CHL, star in the AHL, because he put up some big points with the Richmond Robins in '75, helped them with their playoff runs. But the interesting part, ladies and gentlemen, to my knowledge, there's only a few players that played for Buffalo in major pro that came along and played for Buffalo in minor pro. Now, the Buffalo Norsemen of the NAHL, a very, very solid squad. Were coached actually by, of all people, Guy Torti, who was a big player for a number of teams over the years. Now, this team of Norsemen, they had a wide range of good minor pros and former pros, major pros, including Les Binkley for a while. Guy Trottier was a player coach that year. Brian McSheffery was there as well. And Guy put up, like I said, a role model for his players, a good coach, still, a good sniper. Guy could always put it in. But Atkinson's passing, boys, that was a rough day for hockey fans, because players like that helped build the NHL in the expansion era. Now, age of 54, like I said, passed away May 6, 2003. Now, one last thing before I leave you go, ladies and gentlemen, the Hap Ems team that he played for, he had the winning goal in Game 8 to eliminate the Kitchener Rangers in the OHL Championship Series in '68, on way to a second title for him in the Memorial Cup. Now, his totals in the Memorial Cup playoffs that year were tremendous, ladies and gentlemen. 14 goals, 10 assists for 24 points. And again, 73 points in the regular season, and his draft year, 66 points in 44 games. So, not say a draft steal, but somebody that forgot they were injured. They were just looking at the raw statistics, and as soon as he opened out, a very, very, like I said, extremely good two-way player. Now, final NHL totals: 111 points in 302 games, 50 goals, and with the Toros in '75-76, 8 points in 52 games. But again, from 1965 to the end of his career, every level he played at, he excelled. He could play minor league, he could play major pro. To be a top player in the OHA, a top player in the NHL, the CHL, the AHL, the NAHL, Toronto, the points didn't show, very good defensive player. And the Ontario Senior League at the time in the '70s, ladies and gentlemen, very, very talented teams. That wasn't an easy league. That was almost similar, you might as well say it was a AAA senior hockey across Canada, and other teams were competing as well, maritime teams out west, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. So Steve Atkinson, he's passing again. He could be still giving back to hockey now. Very good with the community, very good in his home region of Barrie. I know a lot of people in the Barrie region really miss him, and that's in tribute to the good hockey fans in Barrie. you produce one of the most respected players in, Buffalo Sabres and Washington Capitals history. And I still see that, ladies and gentlemen, that 71 team scoring 20 goals in 57 games. That was an achievement. And don't forget 1973 when he made the playoffs. He played one game, I think it's against Montreal, I could be wrong here, and let me tell you, what a transition from 71 to making the playoffs. The French Connection line and Loose and Craig Ramsey and Roger Crozier, Desjardins, all that. What a legend he helped build in Buffalo. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here with our podcast channel, give us a like, comment, subscribe. I'd like to hear from the Buffalo Sabres fans out there of the, let's say, especially of the early 70s era. Please let me know if there's any players you want me to profile. I've done quite a few because obviously with the French Connection, that's quite obvious. And just let me know. And by the way, when Montreal lost to Buffalo in 75, no surprise there, Buffalo was building. My only regret, they never won a cup in the 70s, but with the Flyers and Montreal and, the building. But that's the best team not to win a cup in the 1970s, besides the Islanders, in my opinion. Thanks for listening. Bye.